Hi, and welcome to today's video. This video is going to cover topic selection and brainstorming for keywords. Research is a process. I call it the research journey. It starts off with first getting the research assignment or the research request, and then selecting the topic, modifying the topic, and brainstorming for keywords. This video is going to address these first two steps of the research journey or the research process. The very first thing you need to do is understand what is being asked of you. In college research, professors are going to give you an assignment, a research assignment, and you're supposed to find sources to support whatever it is that you're saying, and then cite your sources and write an essay or create a presentation. But you can apply these same concepts to your workplace, whether it's your boss asking you to do something or research something or a client. It's basically the same thing. You first read all of the instructions, see how you're going to be graded, or if it's for a job, how you're going to be evaluated. And be sure to ask your boss or your client or your professor. Get clarification if you do not understand anything. And then always double check and make sure that you have complete understanding. For college research or subject-specific research, you have to know what kind of research you have to do. There are different types of research that you could do as a student or as a professional. There is the library research, where you go in and you look at library resources or academic resources or scholarly sources. Very much the same type of research. If you're conducting scholarly research, most likely you're going to be in a library looking at books and journal articles or other peer-reviewed publications. Versus in the field research. In the field research, that means that you are either a scientist, a scholar, a sociologist, a psychologist, or you are an undergrad or a grad student or a graduate student helping a lead researcher conduct research. This kind of research means that you're actually going into the lab and conducting an experiment, if it's in the sciences. If it's engineering, you might go out into the field and explore terrain. If it's psychological research, then you're going to explore the mind or the behavior of a group of people or an individual person as a case study. If you're doing research in sociology and you're doing case study research, that means that you're either a sociologist or a graduate student assisting a sociologist, and you're exploring different patterns in a particular zip code or a particular group of people. This class is going to focus on doing the academic, scholarly kinds of resources, looking at research publications. This class is not going to ask you to do your own in-field study where you're going to run a survey or explore a particular population, but instead you're going to be doing academic research in which you're going to be looking at scholarly resources using different databases, online resources, and even Google. So for this assignment, you already know what kind of research you have to conduct. You also need to know what kind of sources you need to use, what is acceptable. For different classes, different types of resources are acceptable. In college level, college research, especially upper level, you're going to need to use books or ebooks that are scholarly based as opposed to like a how-to manual. And you're going to be using scholarly resources from peer-reviewed publications as opposed to other types of general resources like an encyclopedia or Wikipedia. Another thing to keep in mind is there are people that are here to help you. I, as the instructor for this class and the librarian, I can help you conduct the research. If you're taking upper level classes in psychology or sociology and you need to do research, be sure to go ahead and ask either fellow students, your professor, or librarians, whether you're at CSU, Pepperdine, etc., wherever you transfer to, be sure to use your sources and use them early and use them often. Successful students, they ask for help and they know who to ask for help and they use their resources. Good things to know ahead of time before you're conducting research is when you start your research, keep track of all of your sources. There are many different strategies to help you keep track of them. There are things that you can pay for, then you can use index cards. One thing that everybody has is either Google Docs or Word Online. As a student, you have access to Word Online, and many of you also have access to Google Docs. So what I suggest is for you to create a Google Doc or a Word document and just call it research outline. And this is where you're going to put in your outline of how you're conducting your research. You're going to have, the sources that support your case, the sources that give you other thoughts about your case, or other sources that go against what you're trying to prove. Keep track of all of your sources. As we go on through the classes, I will show you how to do the citations. What I suggest is that you collect the citations for each of the sources and then just write a summary about what each of them are, or even just copy and paste specific ideas from those sources. So that way, when you're conducting or creating your research project, your essay, or your presentation, you have all of your sources in one neat document and you have a quick summary of them or whatever it is that you would like to cite or quote from the source. And you're just showing love to your future self by doing this ahead of time. And this will also help you select the best sources, right? Because you're not going to take the time to copy and paste an article or a citation for something that it's iffy, right? So this will help you get started and organized at the beginning. Another thing that is very helpful to know ahead of time is what kind of citation style you're going to use, because that will depend on how you're going to create the citations and how you're going to organize them or arrange them. For this class, we're going to use MLA, which is Modern Language Association, which is the style that is used in many classes in community colleges, specifically in English classes or humanities. Some of you are familiar with APA or the Chicago Manual, and we will address some of these and the differences between the three of these very popular citation styles in this class, but we're going to focus on just one, which is MLA. There are many other citation styles for different fields, but the most popular in community colleges and in universities are MLA, APA, and Chicago Manual. But depending on your field of study, when you transfer over into a university or CSU or Pepperdine, etc., your course may require you to do something else or to use a different style. So what should you cite? As you find your sources, just know that you could cite things that you find in your sources. You could address a picture, stats, facts, opinions, music, audio, depending on your project. You could cite all of these sources, but you have to cite anything that you did not create. So if you didn't make it, you didn't think about it, it's not your idea, you have to cite it. The only thing that you do not have to cite is what is considered common knowledge. An example of common knowledge is something that everybody knows, or the average person on the street will know. So when did Christopher Columbus land in the Caribbean? Well, everybody knows that it's 1492. So a fact like that, you do not have to cite. Or who's the current president of the United States? Everybody knows who our president is. So that's not something that you have to cite in your paper. A good rule of thumb is if you are not sure if something is common knowledge, go ahead and cite it. You can also do further research to see if that is common knowledge in that particular field, or you can ask your professor or a librarian. But a good rule of thumb is go ahead and cite it. Selecting your topic. So select something that interests you, and you can brainstorm for ideas. In high school or lower level classes in college, the professor normally gives you a topic. And that is because the professor wants to make sure that you're working on a project that has enough research behind it that you're going to find stuff. But as you proceed with your college experience, some professors are going to allow you the opportunity to select a topic. So this class, I am allowing you to select your own topic. So pick something that interests you, something that you would like to learn more about, so that way you're not bored with the assignment. And what I suggest is to either find a topic, or once you select a topic and you want to discover something further or narrow it down even further, do some brainstorming. There are different types of brainstorming activities or styles that you could use for brainstorming. One of them is called freestyle. This one is where you just take a piece of paper and you just start jotting ideas. Another one is mind mapping technique. Mind mapping technique is a little bit more organized, and that is the one that I prefer. And as you do your mind mapping, you're going to find or come up with different keywords that address the major concepts of your topic. So if you're not sure where to find a topic, what I suggest is, you just watch the news, talk with your friends, read magazine articles, look at TED Talks. You can use some of these library resources to help you find topics. This video is not going to address how to use these. There will be other future videos that will address it, and you can explore these topics or these resources in the future. So why to brainstorm? Because it's going to help us find a topic. It helps us organize our thinking. It helps us identify the key words. And as we brainstorm and select the keywords, these are the keywords that we're going to use when we conduct research, whether it's using Google or Bing or a library database. So you are brainstorming for keywords. So keywords are just essentially the search terms that you're going to plug into the search fields, whether it's Google or the databases. And these keywords are not just any random keywords, but these are keywords or words that represent ideas, or the main ideas of your topic or your subtopic. These could also be related terms and synonyms. As you have this bank of keywords, it'll help you conduct your research more precisely and more fluid. Here's an example of a screenshot of Google and two keywords or a keyword phrase, which is depression and memory loss. So in this search, our keywords are depression and memory loss, and they're combined together with the word and. This type of research strategy works better than just putting in long sentences. Compare the bottom screenshot. The bottom screenshot says in the search box, does depression cause memory loss? So this is an example of conducting two different types of search strategies. The top one shows keyword search strategy. The bottom one is a full long sentence or a question. That is called natural language searching. Natural language searching relies on the algorithm to help the user identify the keywords. And many times you can find really good stuff here, a lot of very basic general information that will answer this question, or from Reddit or from different sources that ask questions or that answer questions. And this will be good to help you find just basic general information on it. But to find more of the in-depth information, especially when you're using the databases, you want to go with the keyword search strategy. So as you're brainstorming, what you're doing is coming up with your keywords or synonyms or related terms. So if one word, sadness and memory loss, or anxiety and memory loss, or depression and memory loss, things that are related will help you find better results. It's always a good idea to think about it at the beginning. That is a great way of having a research strategy when you begin your research. Now, brainstorming. This is what brainstorming would look like and what I recommend for you to do, which is where you take your main keywords or your main concept that you would like to address, and then you ask yourself the who, the where, the how, the what, the why. And as you're answering these questions and you're conducting your brainstorming, you're going to start off with the main topic and then the subtopics, and even further and narrowed down subtopics. So, as an example, it could be there's depression, and then you could add in the who. We could talk about men, women, veterans. Where, it could be in Los Angeles, it could be in Afghanistan. The what is causing the depression, being away from home, military duty. It could be their service experience, or PTSD, or the why. Explore different reasons why they might have or suffer from depression, or what are the causes of it, or what are the consequences of it, health related, consequences to the family, consequences to the children, consequences to society. And that would be a great way for you to develop a focus and coming up with a research question about what is the big deal about depression and veterans, or what is the big deal of global warming and electric cars. Is electric cars the answer to global warming, etc.? Now, it's going to be your turn to do brainstorming. Part of this assignment is where you're going to select your topic and do some brainstorming on it. So what I'm asking you to do is take out a piece of paper, think about your topic, ask yourself the who, the where, the how, etc. Think about what is the big deal about your topic and why would anybody care? If it's something that nobody really cares about, this may not be a good research topic. What are other issues related to my topic that will help you find a focus? Who is involved or who is affected by it? Is it women? Is it men? Where is this happening? What is the space? Is it at home? Is it in society? Is it in the United States? Is it in India? Is it in at schools or in the workplace? Why or how did this happen? Or why is this happening? What are the causes, the effects, the consequences? There are different types of brainstorming activities you could do, and I will accept them as long as it fits the basic components of the assignment. So it doesn't have to be the brainstorming exercise that you see here, as long as somewhat related to it and it addresses the questions here. Right? Now, as you're doing your brainstorming, you don't have to write out what is the big deal of my topic and write some sentences, or what are issues related to my topic and write additional things. That is not what I want. What I want is to look at something similar to this, in which you are addressing those questions, but putting them in a piece of paper, and you are making it match to your research assignment. Just your topic and subtopics and subtopics. Hi, I'm going to show you how to do brainstorming. So we're going to take a topic such as video games. Then I'm going to ask myself the who, the what, etc. So the what, it would be what kind? It could be educational, or it could be if it's educational, then it's going to be maybe in high school or elementary. What's another word for elementary school? Primary. Or I could talk about what kind. Maybe social games or multiplayer games. Or I could talk about maybe violent. So let's just say that I like this topic of video games and violent. Then I could also address the who. So I could talk about maybe adults, or children, or maybe teens. I could also talk about maybe gender, maybe girls, boys. And then what is the big deal, right? So if I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to select video games, then I want to do violent video games, and I want to address maybe children, and it could be both boys and girls. I'm going to say, well, what about it? So I could talk about, okay, video games, violent, children, maybe talk about baby behavior. What kind of behavior? You could say maybe antisocial. Or maybe shy. Does it cause shyness? Or does it cause aggression? So I think I'm going to select aggression, violent, video games, children. So then my question would be, do violent video games cause children to be aggressive? And if so, does it affect them in elementary school? So then, do violent video games cause aggression in schools for children?